You may be doing your zone 2 rides too hard. We get asked about the zones in Coach Cat all the time, and riders tell us these zones feel too low, they feel too easy. But that's exactly the point. If your zone 2 ride feels like a workout, you're probably going too hard. I'm Coach Frank, some call me the Big Cat, and today I'm going to break down why you may be riding your zone 2 too hard. I'll explain why true zone 2 is supposed to feel easy, why riders overshoot it, and how to hit your zone 2 rides precisely in the right zone. Also, you can build an aerobic engine, burn fat efficiently, and do it all without piling on unnecessary fatigue and junk miles. Then, if you want to do your zone 2 rides correctly in a training plan, try Coach Cat free for 30 days, no credit card required. We'll tell you when to do these rides in your training plan, and we'll analyze your data from doing it. We'll balance your zone 2 training with all the other aspects you need to be doing so you can ride smarter and improve faster. Zone 2 is your aerobic endurance zone. By power, we define zone 2 as 59 to 75% of your FTP, and by heart rate, we define zone 2 from 64 to 75% of your threshold heart rate, which is your average heart rate from a 20-minute test or hard effort. By feel, zone 2 is 2 or 3 out of a scale of 10, where 10 is as hard as you can go and 0 is just sitting here super easy. 2 out of 3 is easy, it's conversational, and it's sustainable for hours. If you can have a full conversation without gasping, you're probably in zone 2. If you need to pause and catch your breath while you're talking, chances are you're above your zone 2. Power is great because it measures external work, it's instant feedback, but power does not always reflect what's happening inside your body. If you're tired or dehydrated or in a heavy training block, your power might be lower than usual due to natural fatigue, and chasing a power target while you're trying to achieve your zone 2 rides, it could push you up into tempo or even higher without realizing it. Heart rate, on the other hand, tells you what's going on inside. It's your internal load, what's going on inside your body. If you simply keep your heart rate in that 64 to 75% of your threshold range, you're going to stay aerobic even on a tired day. This is why heart rate-based training for zone 2 is often superior to power-based training because it automatically adjusts for fatigue, prevents you from riding too hard on cooked legs, and it still ensures you're getting those endurance adaptations that you're after, thus avoiding those junk miles. So which do you use, power or heart rate? Great question. For your long rides, go by heart rate. When fatigue accumulates to the point that in order to maintain zone 2 watts, your heart rate increases up into tempo or a sweet spot, this is what is called heart rate decoupling. And once your heart rate drifts up, go by heart rate and let your watts be what they're gonna be. It's also a sign you're only in shape for like a 3.5 hour ride. And so when you do these longer rides the next time, if your heart rate doesn't decouple for another hour, that's a sign of you improving. For short zone 2 rides, your power and heart rate should match. And if they don't, it's probably time to do an FTP power-based test to update your zones. But here's the trap. Zone 2 is supposed to feel easy, but most cyclists, including myself, can't resist the urge to push harder because it doesn't feel like you're training. The extra effort, it feels good in the moment, but it sneaks you up into that higher zones, and then you miss those physiological adaptations, which is the whole reason why you're training in zone 2. Then those physiological adaptations are when your body burns more glycogen instead of burning more fat, which is one of the goals of zone 2 training. And you also accumulate more fatigue, and you're just missing the whole point of zone 2 training. So it takes letting go of your ego, ignoring the urge to chase Strava, but you just got to simply chillax and ride easy. Oftentimes, it takes solo rides or letting go of the group ride when they begin to ride above your zone 2. Conversely, a great training partner with a similar zone 2 pace is gold. You can hold a great conversation. It's a super way to belt out the zone 2 miles and avoid boredom. I've had some of my best conversations with people ever on a zone 2 ride. Think of adhering to your zone 2 as FTFPing, following the plan. And sometimes the plan says chill out, ride easy, enjoy the scenery. That's zone 2. And that's where these magic mitochondrial aerobic gains happen. One of the problems that has perpetuated issue is that the heart rate zones in Dr. Andy Coggin's zones in TrainingPeaks have zone 2 going all the way up to 83% of your threshold heart rate. even though Coggin defines zone 2 as 56 to 75% by power in his book, Training and Racing with a Power Meter. The heart rate overlaps with low tempo in our model, and so when users are accustomed to TrainingPeaks and then they come into the CoachCat and they see these lower zones, 64 to 75%, they raise their hand. This is too low. It feels too easy. But that's the whole point of why we're talking with you today. So many athletes who think they're in zone 2 have actually been riding in zone 3, which is too hard to get the true aerobic benefits of zone 2. Another pitfall is using LT2, your second lactate threshold, to define your lower zones. LT2 is basically your threshold, and if you base your zone 2 off of that, your easy rides drift up too high, up into that tempo range. Zone 2 should live below that intensity for it to be sustainable. If you can ride all day in zone 2, you're doing it right. When athletes say they can't do a zone 2 ride for more than 3 or 4 hours, they're riding too hard. So to nail your zone 2, use all 3 metrics, power, heart rate, and RPE. Power at 59 to 75% of your FTP, heart rate at 64 to 75% of your threshold heart rate, and then an RPE 2 to 3 out of 10. It should be an easy conversational pace. If it feels too easy, good. If you can talk in full sentences and breathe comfortably, you're right where you should be. Here's why being disciplined about zone 2 matters. It's where your body learns to burn fat efficiently in preference of muscle glycogen. This is a really important training adaptation. It's where you develop more mitochondria in your muscle cells, the tiny power plants that produce energy. If you ride too hard, you lose this adaptation and you do not teach your body to burn fat in preference of muscle glycogen, which is the entire premise of why zone 2 is good for you. Now you might be thinking, wait a second, isn't FasCat all about sweet spot training? And yes, we are. Sweet spot is incredibly effective. It gives you a lot of bang for your buck in terms of time and physiological adaptations. But here's the thing, you can't always train in sweet spot. Zone 2 is an integral part of your aerobic base. It's what allows you to handle more sweet spot later, to absorb it and actually adapt. Think of your aerobic base like a 3-layer zone-based cake, with zone 2 as the bottom layer, tempo as the next layer, and sweet spot as the top layer. If you jump into sweet spot without the foundational layer, that cake's going to crumble and you're going to lack durability and endurance. So yes, we love sweet spot. And if you look at a typical week in one of our sweet spot training plans, you'll see almost a 1-to-1 ratio of sweet spot to zone 2 training days. So remember, when you're training in zone 2, don't ride too hard to make it feel like a workout. Take it easy, build that endurance, save the hard work for days when it counts. And on your next long run, back it down, use your heart rate, your power, and your RPE. And if it feels like you're not working hard enough, congratulations, you're FTFP. You're doing your zone 2 right. Thanks for watching. It's an honor that you do. Ask me your zone 2 questions in the comments. And remember to work hard, ride fast, and FTFP those zone 2 rides.